Hey everybody, welcome to another This Old Deck episode. So I've been going through the Deck Deconstruction companion, and I'll include a link to that in the descriptions if you haven't seen the previous episodes where I talk about the sources of these decks. And I'm on chapter 11, which is something called trade wind decks. Yeah, so you're sort of trying to bounce stuff here. Now, several of the decks in here are in blue in the section, but the one that I'm interested in is under the section Lockdown Rath Worlds 98, because this has the bottomless pit ensnaring bridge combo in addition to Dominating Lucid's Legacy's Allure and Coffin Queen. So we're going to look through, see what the deck does, and I'll also unusually look at one of the sideboard cards because it fits in with the overall theme of the deck. And we'll also have a look at Trade Wind Rider, because that's in here as well still. So Trade Winds is in here, and we've got the Bottomless Pit ensnaring bridge combo. You see there's some bit of looting going on as well. So what do we have in here? Well, you can see we've got 8 artifacts, 20 creatures, 8 enchantments, 24 land in the deck, and then 15 cards in the sideboard. And you may also notice this was a block deck, block constructed deck. See, we've got Tempest, Exodus card, and Stronghold. So, 4 Mox Diamonds, 0 to cast. When Mox Diamond comes into play, sacrifice and discard a land card or sacrifice Mox Diamond. Tap, add 1 mana of any colour to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source. It's probably the most expensive, or one of the most expensive parts of the deck looking at it. There is another bit in here which, yeah, oh okay, the Volrath's Stronghold is pretty expensive as well. Right, yeah, we've got 4 Mox Diamonds. 4 ensnaring bridges, 3 to cast. Each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand cannot attack. 4 Merfolk Looters, 1 and a blue. Tap, draw a card, then choose and discard a card. So a nice bit of looting going on there. We've got 4 Bottle Gnomes, 3 to cast, 1/3. You can sacrifice Bottle Gnomes, gain 3 life. Coffin Queen is in the deck. There's 2 of those. 2 and a black. You may choose not to untap Coffin Queen during your untap phase. 2 and a black. Put target creature card from any graveyard into play under your control. Remove that creature from the game if Coffin Queen becomes untapped, or if you lose control of Coffin Queen. 4 Dominating Lucids, 1 and 2 blue, and for 1 and 2 blue, Dominating Lucid loses this ability and becomes a creature enchantment that reads gain control of enchanted creature instead of any other type of permanent. Move Dominating Lucid onto target creature. You may pay blue to end this effect. 2 Urtai Wizard Adept, 2 and a blue. It is a legend, so you wouldn't be able to have both in play at once. Counts as a wizard. 2 and 2 blue, counter target spell. Play this ability as an interrupt. And then we've got 4 Trade Wind Riders. 3 and a blue with flying. Tap 2 creatures you control. Return target permanent to owner's hand. So you can see we've got creatures in here which have a bounce spell stapled to them, so you can be bouncing stuff back to an opponent's hand. You've got stuff in here that can counter spells, counter target spell. What else do we have? So we have Legacy's Allure, 2 blue. During your upkeep you may put a treasure counter on Legacy's Allure. Sacrifice Legacy's Allure. Permanently gain control of a target creature with power no greater than the number of treasure counters on Legacy's Allure. So we've now got a third way to grab stuff. So Coffin Queen, we can grab stuff from any graveyard. Dominating Lycid, we can gain control of an enchanted creature, and we can jump this around. And then Legacy's Allure, again we can gain control of a target creature with power no greater than the number of treasure counters on Legacy Allure. So there's 4 of those in the deck. We've got 4 bottomless pits, 1 and 2 black. During each player's upkeep, that player discards a card at random. So you can see here how this works with Ensnaring Bridge. So with Ensnaring Bridge, each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand cannot attack. And then at the same time, Bottomless Pit is causing all the players to discard cards at random. So you're trying to get into this Ensnaring Bridge Bottomless Pit lock. We've got 15 islands, 7 swamps, 2 Rath Stronghold. In the sideboard we've got 4 chills. Oh yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention, Rath Stronghold. Tap, add 1 mana to your mana pool. 1 and a black, put target creature card from your graveyard on top of your library, so you can get stuff back from your graveyard. Sideboard, we got 4 chills, so this is obviously there for red decks. Red spells cost an additional 2 to play. 4 Thrall Surgeons, 1 and a black, 1 black, sacrifice Thrall Surgeon, look at the target player's hand and choose one of those cards. That player discards that card, play this ability as a sorcery. It's a 1/1, and you get to choose the card they discard. So, good if you're going after someone's hand, you might need to sideboard this in for a particular deck where you're after certain cards, key cards in an opponent's deck, or in their, well, it'll be in their hand. 3 Capsize, 1 and 2 blue. So it's a bounce spell, but it has buyback on it. So you can pay an extra 3 and keep buying the spell back. So that instead of going into your graveyard, it goes back to your hand. And then we've got 4 Helms of Possession, 4 to cast. You may choose not to tap Helm of Possession during your untap phase. 2 tap, sacrifice a creature, gain control of target creature as long as you control Helm of Possession, and Helm of Possession remains tapped. There's actually another way to snag a creature, but it is in the sideboard, so you might want to bring that in to just increase the probability of you being able to take your opponent's stuff. So yeah, you basically lock down the board state with your Ensnaring Bridge and Bottomless Pit, and then using the other cards in the deck, you can you can take stuff from your opponent. Control your opponent's deck. And the other cards you saw there, sort of assist with bounce and counter spells to just try and keep things under control until you can get the lock into effect. Now, of course, remember that you're also going to be discarding cards, and it's at random because this is each player and this is each creature as well, so it's going to affect your creatures, make them so they can't attack. They can defend, but they can't attack. Just trying to think if there's anything else I want to add here. No, I think that's it for the moment really with this. I don't see anything else I need to flag up. I suppose you'd have to be careful you don't end up locking yourself out of the game. You'll notice as well, yeah, one thing to remember with is you can see the creatures here are 1 power. So each creature with power greater than the number of cards in your hand cannot attack. So what, you know, as long as you've got like 1 card in your hand, you're okay. And so how this would work is, obviously if your opponent has lots of 1 power creatures, then great, you can take control of them and attack with them. But what you can do is just steal their creatures and they just sit there not being able to attack. They haven't got them, you've got them now. So yeah, that's the idea here, is that you notice that the creatures are all very low power, so they can get through the ensnaring bridge, bottomless pit lock. Yeah. Unless, of course, somehow you have no cards in hand when you're trying to attack. I think that's right. If you have 0, each creature power greater than... Yeah. So then you could run into trouble. Right, let's go through these. So what I'm going to do is just pick cards that I know we haven't necessarily looked at before. So I thought I'd look at the Tradewind Rider because this particular card has been used in a number of Tradewind decks in the chapter. So this deck has evolved out of that type of deck. They have these things called blue bouncy decks as well. So the Tradewind decks are generally bounce decks. But like I said, this is interesting because you've got the that ensnaring bridge, bottomless pit lock in it. So let's have a look. If we go into Scryfall Tagger, yeah, so it can bounce a target permanent. So there's lots of stuff that it can bounce. Now you are tapping your own creatures to fuel it, but again, if you've stolen your opponent's creatures, that's they perform that job, don't they? So you don't care if you can't attack with them. You're using them to fuel your Tradewind Rider to bounce your opponent's target permanents. Again, land, any permanent. So you're also affecting their mana base. You can bounce their land back to their hand. So pretty clever deck. So this tapping to fuel creature, there's 449 cards. Well, that's the case. So and bounce is a thing in magic. 474 cards. Does exactly what it says on the tin, basically. So if we look at Cube Cobra, this will be interesting because you can see here we've got definitely capsize putting in appearance. Another card that bounces target permanents. There's Morphling, Mana War, Time Elemental, there's a number of blue creatures here with really interesting abilities on them. Tap and untap wizard you control. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. Okay. 1,148 decks. So let's get on to Bottomless Pit. The ability is controlled by the player who controls Bottomless Pit. This means the Bottomless Pit can trigger abilities which trigger off an opponent, forcing you to discard. Discard outlet random. Random discard. Okay. So we've got a number of cards here. So that's a one hit. I'm just curious where the repeating ones are. Oh, Hypnotic Spectre, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Does it because of combat damage? Ragman. Target opponent reveals his or her hand and discards a creature card at random from it. Oh, and there's Nebuchadnezzar as well. Oh, Skull Wren. So we got a lot of one-shot stuff here as well. Wand of Ith. 4 to cast 3. Tap. Look at one card at random from target player's hand. If the card is not a land, target player must use either to discard it or pay an amount of life equal to its casting cost. If the card is land, the target player must use either to discard it or pay 1 life. Effects that prevent or redirect damage may not be used to counter this loss of life. Can only be used during controller's turn. Interesting. 141 from the dark. Oh. Any X in the mana cost of a card is 0 for purposes of the wand. Right. Okay, let's just have a look at Cube Cobra. Nope. More discard. Oh, yeah, quite a bit of mono black there. What about synergies? Oh, Cabal Coffers. Graveborn Muse. Well, again, well, we are looking at cubes here, so classic cards. Oh, this card. I did an episode on this. And this has been cropping up a lot recently in decks as well. Okay, does this get used much in Commander? 16,485 decks. Ensnaring Bridge. Stronghold. Was reprinted in 8th with, considerably different artwork. Double Masters. That's a nice sort of echo to the original artwork. Kaladesh Inventions. Okay. Oh, I see what they've done there. Right. Yeah, so expensive. Oh, yes, because it would have existed in foil, wouldn't it? Yeah, so expensive card. Bit of rules there. Okay, catch up. Players who have less get more. I know we've looked at that before. Cards that specifically hate cards with higher power or toughness, typically at least 3 or 4. So there's 100 of those. Oh, Garrick. Plenty of cards here to play around with. There's Meekstone. Creatures with power 3 or greater don't untap during the controller's untap steps. Yep, prison cards, 27 of those. There's Moat. And Propaganda, which we've looked at, I think, in a previous video. And Size Matters, 273 for various reasons, some of which, you know, their power toughness might be affected by that, or there might be slightly less cost to play under certain conditions, or there might be you know, some sort of equilibrium thing, like balance of power going on. So yeah, lots to play around with. Dominating Licid. Becomes an enchantment, aura, and stops being all other permanent types. Paying the cost to end the effect is a special action and can't be responded to. If a spell that can target enchantments but not creatures such as Clear is cast targeting the Licid after it has become an enchantment, but the Licid's controller pays the cost, the Licid will no longer be an enchantment. This will result in the spell failing to resolve for having no legal targets. Okay. Special action, right. Special actions are actions that a player may take when they have priority that don't use the stack. These are not to be confused with turn-based actions and state-based actions, which the game generates automatically. Oh, okay. So we've got Licids in here. Glass Asp. Okay, yeah. Quite a number of Licids. Must be a Licid thing. Got Volrath's Curves. I imagine it's something you wouldn't want too much. Yeah, so another Theft of Creature card, of which there are 216. And if you remember this, yeah, it's enchanted creature instead of any type of other type of permanent. Type change. Did I? Jumping around a bit here. I don't know if I went into Snaring Bridge. 15,611 from that. Okay. Let's go to Cube Cobra. Yep, lots of blue cards. It's drafted with. Lots of blue cards it synergizes with. Oh, there's Rainbow Efreet we were looking at in the previous deck, I think. Power Matrix, yeah. You remember the cameos? I did a artwork video on those. $910 decks. That Ensnaring Bridge. I just got in Cube Cobra. So, now some old stuff here. Wow. Oh. Thought it was an alpha moment. But obviously not. Legacy's Allure. So another card that gains control of stuff, but in an interesting way. There's the rules. There's going to be appropriate in this particular situation, where there might be certain problems. Counters matter, theft of creature, unique counter. So yeah, we have looked here before, 130 of these unique counters. So you got things like muster counters and that filibuster counter, wasn't it? Death counters. Yep, so another theft of creature card. You can see a lot of blue cards, some red cards. Often with the red cards, I suppose you tend to find that it will often do it until end of turn. With blue, I suppose you tend to see a lot more cards where it's, permanent control of something, or for a given period of time that you can control. So this is a scale. What have we got here? It's Opportunistic Dragon, Old Man of the Sea, it's Persuasion. Ray of Command. Risky move. Oh yeah, Seraph. And so on. You see we've got a number of black cards as well that do certain game control stuff. Comes before pacifism, okay. And invulnerability comes after. Interesting. Never paid a lot of attention to these before. Yeah, 664 control changing effects. That's it. Act of aggression and act of treason. More blue. So it's no surprise with this, this deck in a section which is a lot of blue bounce spells, that, when people are building cubes, you're going to see similar sort of blue control stuff. That would sort of be in a deck alongside bounce and various other control tricks. So we've got Will Bender. There's Dominating Lizard again. EDH 1676 decks. Coffin Queen. And what's available was a secret lair drop. Okay, got a few rules here, just clarifying about stuff to do with entering and leaving the battlefield under certain circumstances. Yeah, so reanimate from any graveyard. There are 98 cards that do that. And you can see quite a number of them are in black. We have any green ones? Oh, Restore, yeah. And 565 cards that reanimate creatures. Yeah, so interesting way of getting control of a creature from another graveyard, or just getting your own creature that maybe you really wanted back into play, that would just work better in the deck, dependent on the board state. So, oh yeah, lots of reanimation stuff. Why am I not surprised? Entomb, Reanimate. Okay, Recurring Nightmare, Exhume, Dark Ritual. Oh, Doom Necromancer. Yeah, remember that card. Some of them it's like a swap, isn't it? So that one black tap it, sacrifice it, and then return a target creature from the old graveyard to the battlefield. Phyrexian Devourer. How does that feature in EDH decks then? What do we get? 3,699. Okay. Oh, in the Grimgrin deck, yeah. It's an interesting one to play around with. And then the sideboard card, Helm of Possession. I thought this was interesting because although it's in the sideboard, it's fits really nicely alongside the other cards in the main deck, which take creatures. So yep, 2 tap, sacrifice a creature, gain control of a target creature for as long as you control Helm of Possession. Helm of Possession remains tapped, and you can choose not to untap Helm of Possession during your untap step. Yep, so another Theft of Creature card, so you can see the same, the usual suspects coming up when we start to go through the tags on here, because so many of these are Theft Creature cards. But what's interesting, because of the way this is, and I quite like this card would work real nice in a some sort of sacrifice deck, because it would give you then the utility to sack a creature, which you want to be doing in that sort of deck, to maybe fuel other cards or synergize with other cards that want stuff to be ending up in your graveyard, but then you can use it to steal opponent stuff. So that's the other reason I wanted it to talk about it, because I was curious as to, does anybody stick that in their commander deck or something, if they've got a sacrifice matters commander deck. I mean, you can see here there's a number of reanimation cards. And we also, another episode when we were looking at those cards that really love being in the graveyard. What were they? They were in Incarnations. That's it. So that would be nice with Incarnations. I think, if I've got that right. It's a way of getting them in the graveyard. I didn't see any there. I was just curious if I missed something. Maybe it's not the best use of the card. I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure here actually. Oh, I do like Sorceress Queen. I have one of these. Make creatures 0/2 until end of turn. $3,426. What do we got in here? Just looking to see what creatures played alongside it. Yeah. If anybody's got any interesting uses for that card, let me know in the comments section. I need to think about that. It's piqued my interest. Now the other thing I was curious about, it's made me think of something, and now it's sort of gone, unfortunately, when I saw something else flash up. And now I can't remember what it was. I suddenly had a eureka moment with another card, and I'm thinking, just suddenly noticed something, but I couldn't hold that thought, which is annoying. Yeah, not to worry. I don't think it was super important anyway. Oh, I know what I was wondering, with the ensnaring, is it the ensnaring bridge? Each creature with a power greater than the number of cards in your hand cannot attack. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know. So ensnaring bridge effects checks the number of cards in your hand only when a player, including you, is declaring attackers. Once the creature has legally attacked, change its power on the number of cards in your hand won't remove it from combat. So, yeah, this, I'm just thinking of, ways of tweaking certain decks where you've got low power creatures and then you have some sort of pump effect at instant speed, which after you've declared attackers you then put into play, because that would sneak through more damage. Something to think about. Okay, so there we have it. That was a lockdown deck, specifically from the Rath section of Worlds 98. So that's where they could only use cards from Tempest Block. So thanks once again for watching. Bye for now, and I will catch you in a future episode.